tired today. We decided to go snowboarding last night. Took off at a reasonable hour and went boarding. So we decided to take a little break from the shop, and about 15 minutes up the road, actually like 10 minutes, there's a ski resort. So we're out here relaxing a little bit. It's kind of chilly though. Tim, what the heck are we doing here? It's so much warmer in the shop.
I know. Killing it. Having some fun on the mountain.
Yeah. Well, it's fun out here. It's nice to take a break. Enjoying yourself, John?
Heck yeah! Good times, good times.
Man, it's beautiful up here. But really freaking chilly tonight. So we need to be able to get the nitrous bottle in and out of the quarter window. And on that car, here, let me actually show you what I'm talking about. On that car, the quarter window was removable. Oh, super convenient. Here's the nitrous bottle, some Zeus tabs. You pop those out and the whole quarter window comes out. That was cool. It worked really good. And recently, though, I saw MA Motorsports up that a little bit, and what they did is they installed a quarter window that opens and closes on a hinge, and it's got a cool like little hood pin, like the new style that releases it. So I figured, let's do that. It's going to be easier. Now my guys don't have to have a screwdriver. They don't have to take the quarter window out, then throw it on the roof. Just less stuff when you're changing a nitrous bottle. It's just faster, easier, less steps to forget. So what we're going to do is basically make a bracket like this. This is a mocked up little cardboard piece. It'll go right there. Mm-hmm. All right, Tim, let's pop that mock-up window in. Yeah, perfect.
Push the button.
And it'll swing open.
Hinges will be on this side, and the whole window will just open up.
So let's make this piece out of metal. So you just literally trace it over, bend it up. This is where you want the hole to be punched out right there. And let's see what it looks like in metal. We'll mock it up, make sure it works, tack it in place, double check that it works, and then weld it solid.
Sick.
Up, it's ready, it's trimmed, it's like polished off. Sweet.
It's ready.
Yeah, now we just got to grind the paint down on the other side. Sweet. And in case you guys missed the previous episode, the nitrous bottle gets mounted to these brackets right here. It's actually the nitrous bottle mounts bolt to those brackets. Those are threaded, and then we'll be able to get the bottle in and out through the quarter window. So the window is in. Tim cut out a piece of abrasive resistant Lexan. We got this thing mounted up in here. Here's the hinges. We had to get a little tricky with them. We have to actually put them in the brake, get them to stand off the chassis a little bit here. And if you could tell from this angle, the window still has like a radius to it because we wanted it to kind of have an OEM look to it. So what's really cool is, let me peel some of this back so you guys could see it. So here's the hood pin that we use. It's a mini one. It's a 1 inch instead of the bigger ones that you see people use on hoods. So you basically push it in and it opens up and it stays there. You don't have to worry about hood pins or Zeus tabs. Cool. Yeah, that goes in and out pretty easy, Tim.
Yeah.
Pull that sucker out.
Man.
Yeah, stoked on that. I think it's going to be a lot easier replacing nitrous bottles.
Hell yeah.
Rad. Here's a little up close of the actual latch. The piece of metal Tim bent up. Here's the hinges. Super simple. Took a little while to get it all lined up and opening and closing smooth, but it's looking great. Yep. Uh-oh, Amy's here. It's either really good news that she's in here or something bad.
No.
What is it this time?
I just drove all the way to the post office looking for these.
Those.
Evidently they were here.
Yeah, these came in a package with some car parts.
It's sad. That's my last choice. I talked to the guys at Feel. I go all the way to the post office, and you were right here the whole time. You're the last option.
I got those for you.
Stuff like this. No.
Sorry, babe.
Yeah.
So what we got here is a Driveshaft safety loop. This is mandatory per FD rulebook, and what this does is it hugs the driveshaft right near the tail shaft of the transmission, basically. So if you have a driveshaft failure, the driveshaft's not going to violently rip out of the car and cause damage to the car and or the driver. We got to fab this thing up. We got to throw the transmission back in the car and then mount it up here, and then we'll figure out where to mount this driveshaft to. It's probably going to go somewhere right there.
Yeah,
Let's get that transmission in and find a spot for that hoop. You feeling strong today, Tim?
Yeah,
Ready?
Uncrustable.
Did you get the trans mount out? Yep. I don't know, man. I'm feeling pretty strong too. I just crushed the Uncrustable, but it looks like you got it handled. Let's get that thing in there. Oh!
I get another Uncrustable.
There's no clutch in there, so it actually should slide in real good into the pilot bearing. Almost there. Almost there.
That hose is killing me.
Get the hose out of the way. There we go. How's that? You gotta wrestle it, Tim.
No, it's winning.
Oh, you got poor hand placement, man. Let me help. I like to grab the tail shaft with one hand at the very back and the other one right in front of the trans. It's kind of harder without the clutch, actually.
I think I set him up for failure. He's catching his breath.
All right, take two. We put some lube on the input shaft. I think it was just a little dry going into the pilot bearing, so let's give it a try again. All right. Oh yeah.
Savage.
The drive shaft hoop is all trimmed up. What we ended up doing here is we cut the excess out because this is a universal safety hoop, so we cut the excess off. We welded these burly pads that are threaded, so it's like basically a pad and a bung in one to the chassis itself on both sides. And I wanted to do it on two bolts that are threaded. There's no bolt on the inside of the car you got to fish for. I wanted to do that because if we need to pull the transmission out in the Frantic, this is going to have to, you know, get buzzed off, and then we can just slide it back, and then we'll be able to pull the tranny out. And you need to pull this off in order to get the tranny out because the shifter set back so far that by the time you get it out of the pilot bearing, you're going to be hitting it. So it's all mocked up. The trans is actually mocked up. Here's a better angle of the trans mount that was built in the previous episode. Everything's here, looking good. Time to tear this thing apart. So this thing's coming apart real quick, Tim. Let's yank that motor out. Other than that, I think everything's out of this thing. And let's finish welding up some of those spots that we couldn't get to that are behind the motor.
Let's do it.
Yank it out. So I didn't have time to kind of go over what we're doing to prep this car. We basically took it all the way apart down to bare metal, a lot of sanding and cleaning, not really fun stuff. but it's got to get done, and it's time to spray it. So what we're going to do is spray underneath the car first, basically the trans tunnel, everything underneath in between the frame rails, because we're not going to get a chance to do that once we put it back on the ground. So we got the front subframe out, we got the rear subframe out. This is a little notch for the quick change, but other than that, it's all intact. Yeah, so we got everything out. We're going to spray this thing underneath. We're going to get it back on the ground, throw the wheels on, mask everything off, and then we'll get to painting the inside, what's left of the body panels. And that should give us a really good clean shell to start reassembling. We've got my dad here helping out, mixing up some paint. We're going to use Steel It. It's kind of a new paint, for us at least. We've never tried it. It's a polyurethane, and if you spray it directly on metal, supposedly you could weld right through it, and it's really easy to touch up. So if you scratch the car, or you need to do a little bit more, fab work or something, after you do that, you can touch it up. Stuff looks a little bit darker, Tim, huh? But I think once it dries, it's going to get a little lighter. It looks real. It's like a gunmetal. I thought it was going to be gray. It's a little bit darker, but it looks real good.
I like it. Yeah, it's clean up, dude. I like it.
Well, Tim, this is the last we see of bare metal under there.
Oh.
No turning back. Can't weld the tab on right now. Covered in
Oh,
paint.
dude. Looks really good.
So here's the first coat, kind of covering up a lot of the metal. You can still see some of the factory paint right above it. We're just trying to nail all the stuff underneath. Cool, so some final touches on this cross member since it's out while the car is being painted. Yeah, good job, Tim. You filled in some of the little areas that we didn't finish welding. So this is a Weissfab rack relocation kit. So this piece right here gets welded into the factory subframe, and we converted the S15 to be left-hand drive. This piece allows us to do that because this allows you to run either left-hand drive or right-hand drive rack placement. So that was easy. Just drop the Weissfab piece in. It moves the rack forward and also allowed us to convert to left-hand drive. So what we got here is the factory. It's actually a Nismo power brace, and we had to chop it a little bit because it usually extends out to about here. We chopped the whole front of the car. We shortened it up and made a crushable section. So we had to re-drill these holes for it to bolt up to the actual chassis. Tim, I think we should buzz these washers all the way in since we have it out, and then let's clean it up and get it ready to paint. We'll paint it the same color as the chassis. I think it'll look super clean. Time to take a little moto break. You ready, Tim?
Let's do it.
Okay. Painting is going great. I got some work to do at fuel suspension though. What's up, Autos? What's up, John? Good morning. What's up, Mike?
What's up, man?
What do you got going on?
Playing catch up with these emails.
Nice. That's what you get for taking some time off, man. John, what do you got going on there?
Got some fabs going on.
Sweet.
With some radial bearings too.
Ooh, these are nice. The feel adjustable bump stops. And oh, there you go. That's how they install. Screw them down. When you bottom these things out, they basically go flush to the cartridge, so it doesn't take up much space at all. It's like not even having it there. But what you do is you adjust the feel adjustable bump stop up, and that starts to limit stroke. It basically makes the bump stop engage sooner, which allows you to fine tune how much force you want on each corner and when you want that force acting on it. So it's really awesome for drift cars, for road race cars. If you turn in, you're basically ramping up the spring rate progressively by making the bump stop engage sooner, and you could do that to every corner individually. We've been testing this on my FD car last season. It was kind of under wraps, and it worked really, really well, so I wanted to make it available for everyone. And we've been selling these things, how many months? Not that long.
Yeah, only 2 or 3.
Yeah, so these are available for you to buy, and they work really well. I dig messing with them on the track. It's so much fun. Cool. What kit is this?
S14.
Oh yeah, sweet. Cool. So this guy's getting some fabs on the front, also on the rear. This guy's gonna be dialed, man.
Yep, all set up. Radial bearings too.
Ooh, oh yeah, these are radial bearings.
Those.
So this is a top spring seat that has a bearing built in. So all of our front McPherson struts, even rear McPherson struts, they come with these thrust washers. That's standard. That frees up the spring. So as the spring compresses, you have not just linear motion, you have some rotating motion. It allows the spring to rotate, and these things are nice and slippery. If you want to go a little bit further, we have this available as an upgrade. It's the radial bearing. It has a bearing built into it. It's a nice Japanese bearing. That sits right there, and that allows the spring to turn very freely. So as it compresses, it's always got a little bit of this motion, and that makes the spring rate more true. There's less friction on the top and bottom of the spring, so it's able to compress very easily. And on a race car, that's really cool because it's ensuring that, like this 11K spring rate is always 11 at 1 inch of stroke versus 2 inches of stroke versus half inch of stroke, because it's always freely rotating and finding its happy spot. Also, this could be kind of useful on a car that you just cruise around, because as you turn your front steering wheels, you're not only relying on a top mount bearing to rotate the whole shock assembly. If for any reason this gets a little sticky or there's just not enough force to rotate this could take up some of that rotation. You never hear a spring pop sound ever when you couple a nice spherical high quality bearing with one of these radial bearings. So it's a really cool product, and you could definitely utilize it not just on race cars, but on something that you cruise around every day. Sweet, this kit's gonna be dope. It's got all. Let me guess. This guy's getting shock covers too, or no?
Nope, not this one.
Ooh, one step away from having all the bells and whistles. So we'll cover shock covers and some other stuff later. Got to get back to the S15 build. It is looking amazing, all in one color, nice and smooth. Loving it. We're just cleaning off the lift. So these arms right here, we actually sprayed them with some Lucas penetrating oil, and now we just wiped off all the overspray, and it looks amazing. So that allowed us to get everywhere this thing's sprayed from pinch weld to pinch weld underneath. I'm so stoked to have this thing all one color. Tim, you happy to get this thing all painted?
Oh yeah, man, it looks so good.
Hell yeah, this thing looks awesome. So the other thing I'm really happy about is that we're kind of done with major fab work. We could clean that whole area of the shop up and not make it look like a dirty fab shop in here anymore. All clean parts pretty much from here on forward. We got a ton of boxes we got to open up and go through a bunch of really cool badass parts and start installing nice shiny new parts on this very clean chassis to work with now. So stoked on how this came out. Ooh, the Steelit looks so good. This is, once again, the Steelit gray, and it's got kind of a satin look to it. You could weld directly on the paint as long as it's applied directly to the metal. It's got like stainless parts in it. So yeah, next episode we're going to start putting stuff on this car. Lots of cool parts I want to share with you guys, and the way we're installing them, the way we engineered everything to work. It's all going to be coming together starting on the next episode.